Still a good idea. The 16 is kind of an awkward phone to recommend these days because the options you have. So you can buy it new from Apple, right, for like $6.99, but that makes no sense because you could just buy the 17, which is actually significantly better in a lot of areas. You get the 120 hertz, newer chip, anti-reflection coating, and just a few newer things that make it actually worth spending the extra money. But if you buy this phone in the used refurbished marketplace, it's around 516, which is really not bad for what you're getting here. But the other issue you kind of run into when you're kind of shopping around is you have your other option, the iPhone 15 Pro. So the iPhone 15 Pro is actually a little bit cheaper in excellent condition, $479. Of course, with the Pro model, you will get the extra camera. You also get 120 hertz, and you still get Apple Intelligence and stuff like that. But the iPhone 16, I guess it's only few benefits over the Pro is probably that if you don't like heavy phones, because this is kind of a lighter phone at 170 grams versus the 15 Pro does feel definitely heavier at 187 grams. And this phone does have the new chipset, which we'll talk about. So it is kind of an awkward buy. Me personally, I would probably get the 15 Pro. It kind of makes more sense. But again, you do have like those two things. And we could just start off with the hardware here. I think the phone looks great. If you look at like the camera, I love the two-tone design with the darker blue and the lighter blue. I really love the blue color here. You have the matte finish on the sides here so you don't get the fingerprints. That's also another thing I really like over the 15 Pro. And of course we have our action button on here so we can assign that to any app we want. And then we also have our camera control button here as well too, that also doubles as a Apple Intelligence button. So let me back out, if I hold it, it turns into the Apple or Visual Intelligence, and I can go ahead, take pictures, ask questions, stuff like that. Basically similar to Circle to Search, right? But yeah, so as far as hardware, it's light. We got Type-C, very nice design, and very comfortable to hold too. You have really smooth edges on here. Phone is also IP68 dust and water resistant. As far as the panel on the 16, it's a pretty nice panel. It's a 6.1 inch XDR OLED panel, 2000 nits peak brightness, so it's pretty easy to see outdoors in direct sunlight. 86.8% screen to body ratio, and then we also have a resolution of 1179 by 2556, so pretty high resolution on here with 460 for the PPI. So icons and text look really good. Color accuracy is very nice on this display. We have our dynamic island up here, of course, that houses our Face ID. And yeah, guys, I would say that it's aging really well. I don't really have an issue with the panel. So the question is, for most people who are thinking about getting a 16, I don't think the 120 hertz is a big deal, the lack of it. Most people who buy base model iPhones, we've never, you haven't had 120 hertz since the iPhone 17 now. So, and it's a very smooth 60 hertz. I'm not gonna pretend like it's like super laggy feeling or anything. The animations look really smooth and look really good. Yes, I could tell the difference from 120 hertz versus the 60 hertz. But I would say for the most part, if you're coming from an older iPhone, iPhone 14, 13, 15 even, it's gonna feel pretty similar, if not a little bit actually smoother when you're navigating. But yeah, you could definitely feel the difference if you are coming from Android and you buy one of these 60 hertz iPhones. It's a slight difference in how animations look. But overall, the display is fine. What you would be missing with the, compared to the 17 is the anti-reflection coating. The 17 does have that. But yeah, overall, it's a very nice display. Like icons and text and everything looks really solid on the 16 here. Let's talk about the specs here. So another thing about the 16 over the 15 Pro is that you will get one more year software update since the phone, is newer. And yeah, we do have on the 16 the Apple A18 chipset, so you do have a newer chipset Here we have 128 gigs of internal storage, 8 gigs of RAM. So this phone is pretty fast here, and I'll show you guys the Geekbench scores, and then you guys can see the score and how it relates to the iPhone 15. So it's not like it's significantly faster even in our Geekbench score. So check out the multi-core 7905. Yeah, so again, as you guys can see, not a gigantic difference in terms of performance when it comes to being compared to the 15 Pro. So that's why I said you're probably better off going with that 15 Pro, because yeah, you get one more year of software updates with the 16, but how much of a big deal is that for most people? 22.7 frames in Wildlife Extreme, so it has great scores when it comes to the benchmarks. Opening applications is very smooth. RAM management is excellent. It's able to keep apps in the background, and I do want to talk about gaming because this is also something that people need to know. All right, so when it comes to the overall gaming performance, you guys can see we're playing at 60 frames. Now, if we got a 15 Pro, guys, we would be playing at 120 frames, and I know you most people you might not care, but if you are someone who plays like a lot of competitive titles like PUBG, Call of Duty, you're gonna want to play at the higher frame rates. But the 16 by itself is perfectly fine when it comes to gaming, getting matches in PUBG, Call of Duty, Genshin, basically whatever you want. The phone is more than capable of playing the latest titles and stuff like that. But it is something that you need to know if you're more on the competitive side of gaming. But yeah, so it's just something that I like to mention to people. I would say if you're coming from an older iPhone, you do have Apple Intelligence on here, and honestly, it's not really worth upgrading to like a newer iPhone at all. So let's say you have a 14, 13, and that's like your main priority. I'm going to say actually no, it's not very smart. How much does the iPhone 17 Pro Max 1 terabyte cost? Can you tell me how much it cost? Can you tell me the price? Yeah, see, it's not I run into this issue a lot with the 16, so how this is supposed to go. Now, here is Gemini's response. How much does the iPhone 17 Pro Max 1 terabyte cost?
The Apple iPhone 17 Pro Max 1 terabyte has a standard.
So basically, it'll give me the information straight up from Gemini, ChatGPT, and stuff like that. With Apple's thing, it's not very smart. It just throws up Google results, which makes no sense. It makes you do extra work, and a lot of times if you ask it something, it'll pull up ChatGPT. Then you have to click on Use ChatGPT, and it takes even longer. I think it's a very mediocre experience. It's very un-Apple like that. It's this bad so far. Since it's been released, we have all this time, and it's bad. And it's not just the assistant. Circle to search also is pretty bad as well. Not circle to search, but the object eraser. So erasing objects using the AI is also very bad. So I would say I wouldn't upgrade for Apple Intelligence. It's much better on Android, on the Pixels and Samsung's and phones and stuff like that. It's a very mediocre experience here. Let's check out these speakers at max volume. I think the speakers are extremely good on the 16, especially for the size. You have excellent sound quality, very good bass. I can hear the low notes of the bass. It has a very nice balanced, clean sound. There's no distortion. I think these are fantastic speakers. So I have zero complaints with the speaker quality. And of course, Face ID has been untouched for years. That works extremely well, so no issues with that. All right, so let's talk about the camera. So you have a 48 megapixel standard, 12 megapixel ultra wide. You can shoot in 4K 60, 12 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60, and basically you can go up to 10 times zoom on the 16, and for the video you can only go up to 6 times zoom. So if you do decide to get the 15 Pro, you have a little bit better zoom because you have a telephoto lens. But if you feel like you don't really zoom out or zoom in a lot, then you probably don't need the 15 Pro. But yeah, the photos I would say look really good. The photos and video quality I think look excellent. You just get really good image quality here. It's basically, I think, extremely similar to the iPhone 17. It basically looks the same. So great dynamic range, very natural, very good color on here. Also, the ultra wide is very consistent with the main lens. We do a pretty good job in low light photography. Also, video quality looks very good, great dynamic range, and overall, just very nice video. So if you do want to get into using your iPhone for content creation, I think it's extremely good for that as well too. The selfie camera is also very good. The cameras are great. I don't have an issue with the cameras. Where you will see the cameras kind of look kind of mediocre is, again, with the zoom quality. Punching in, I would say, past like 5 times is gonna start to look soft and kind of grainy and distorted. So besides that, I think it's perfectly a great cameras for the most part here. As far as the battery life goes, I still have 100% battery health on this 16. The battery life has been very good. I would say the battery life on the 17 is definitely a little bit better. It's not like supernaturally better or anything like that, but it definitely is a little bit better. Standby time seems to be a lot better on the 17. But screen on time, you could easily get pretty much close to 6 hours of screen on time with the 16. I think very easily as a lighter user. It's got a 3,561 milliamp hour battery, 25 watt wireless charging on here, of course with the MagSafe, and then you have your 4.5 reverse wired charging on here. So really no issues with the battery on here, and I think the 15 Pro is pretty much on par with the 16 when it comes to battery life as well. So I would say, again, the 16 is a pretty good phone for the most part. I don't really have any issues with it, especially if you buy it at the the $500 price point. But I do think it makes a little bit more sense to get the 15 Pro because you get a little bit more for your money. Like I said, the only benefits here is the extra year of software, and then we also do have just a lighter design if you don't really like heavy phones. But besides that, I think the 15 Pro is just overall, a better phone. Like, yeah, you get the newer chip, but it's not really going to make that big of a difference in your day-to-day tasks, and overall the gaming experience is going to be a little bit worse if you play like competitive titles. So what do you guys think?